So what we're going to do here is replace a pulley down here. In particular, this pulley. Now I have one here already. Let's put that there. Nice metal pulley. Now the reason I'm going to replace this is because this foot. Now what we're going to do, what we're going to need is 10 mils and 12 mils and all sorts of shit. So 3 10 mils, 1 12 mil on this part. So make sure your ratchet's actually, you know, in undo and not do up. That'd be a good first step. Most of these you can get started and then just use your fingers on the rest. Then again, that takes a while, so. So that's 1 10mm bolt gone. Second one's just in the middle here. Now we have to get rid of these because we want fan belts which are under these covers that Subaru thinks is a genius idea. Look at that fan belt. Which, don't get me wrong, these are a smart idea. It stops people putting their hands and getting hair and, you know, dirt and crap in it from the top of the engine. Put that over there out of the way, we don't need it. Third 10mm over here. Again, it's pretty easy, just crack it. Use your fingers on the rest basically. Like so. Once we're nearly there, it's a long thread, there we go. Then we want this 12mm, which is just here. Now, what's great about this one is it's actually the bolt that holds in the alternator, which, if you can tell by how colour this is a new alternator. Like a year new, but, you know, a year is still something. Just like if you can see by the label on this fan and how black this is compared to, I don't know if you can see, you can't see the other one from that angle, but that's a new thermo fan as well. New ignition coil, new spark plug leads, new map sensor, new knock sensor down the back here. Alrighty, that pops straight off. Now you got 2 belts, and you guys can't see from probably up there, but there's a little spacer washer here and a little washer on this side here. You want to make sure when you put this back on that this part has a washer on each side. So now we're here. Now I need to undo 2 bolts to get the tensioner for the AC out. Now these are a 12mm, so we're going to put on a short 12mm so I can actually fit in here. And we're going to get to winding. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I have a screaming sound. Now I've already pulled this off the other day, worked out what the issue is, which is why I have a pulley, but I think someone's put on said pulley on the car currently the wrong way around, because it's eaten into the timing cover, and I will show you the little actual like tensioner part once I get these 2 12mm out. Which will speed up a little bit. Now for those of you that don't know, alternator, oil pump, AC, and harmonic balancers right down the bottom there that you can't see from that angle. These are some pretty long bolts, they're not too bad, but I don't have a bridle gun or anything like that, or don't do that. Don't drop a bolt. Now I've got to work my fingers into here to pick this thing up. Alright. And there's that bolt. So we've got one more to get, which I can just use my hands with. And once this is out, this is the assembler for the AC. There's your pulley, here's the rest of it. Now, the issue is we're going to take this nut off to have a look at this pulley. Now, Now that nut's a 10mm, I believe. No, 12mm. So you take your 12mm. It's not, I should have probably loosened this before I took it off, but there we go. Set that there, pop this off and don't lose it. Obviously, bad idea if you lose it. I have a spanner set off to the side, a ratchet set, by the way. Pulley pops off. Now, if you guys pop this out, because that's the holder for it, put that somewhere safe. Now, if you guys can kind of see at this pulley, it's kind of munted. Now, I think someone's put this in the wrong way, because this part is rubbing against this part. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but see that crack? This is not supposed to be like this, or worn that much. So someone's put on the pulley wrong, and the pulleys, inside the pulley's actually been rubbing against this. So I think it's supposed to go this way with all this big gap. So we sit it like that and then have a look at it. That's nowhere near touching. Oh, you can, there's an angle, that's nowhere near touching. So this is how the pulley's supposed to sit in. So I got a mechanic to do the head gasket and the timing belt and the water pump on this thing, and somebody's put this pulley back on the wrong way. So this pulley might still be good, but just for safety, I'm just going to replace it because, you know, I would like to have an aircon. Luckily, it's not the alternator belt, which is kind of more important, but still. So we'll sit this out of the way for now. You know what, we'll sit this here, we'll take out this one, and we'll put the old one in this box. Ta-da. Just like that. And we'll sit that back to the side for now. We'll take out this pulley, chuck the bag on the floor, and what we're going to do is sit this all back together, put this back on, start the car, take it for a test drive, and see if she screams at me, basically, is the thing. Because sometimes she screams when you turn it on, it'll skirt and scream. Other times it's when it's got load-ons, not so much when the aircon's on, but just more when I accelerate. And you get up, so you accelerate fast. If you accelerate slowly, it's on speed. If you accelerate fast, so you hit about that 60 k's, which is about third gear, then it's skrrr, which is pretty nasty. And you guys can't see, but down here, it's dug a little bit into the timing cover as well. Which I don't know if it's meant to have a little groove to sit in there or not. Mind you, I'm not a mechanic, I'm just working at an auto parts shop, and I've had to can't afford a lot of stuff and had to do a lot of it myself, so, you know, that's why half of this shit's new. Strut tops, struts, springs, all that sort of stuff's new. But we're going to put this back together, so this is obviously our tension. We want it hollow side, kind of indented side on the front, so it sits like, this is the engine, it sits like this. So the nut goes on this side here. Now, this is kind of hard to tension because of the fact that it's busted. So I'm kind of just, like, you can see the movement that has, which it shouldn't, but we're gonna work with it. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit tighter by tensioning it up here. I'm just hoping I don't, you know, bust anything, pretty much. So we're gonna try and tension this in a little bit more, as long as I'm actually going in the right direction, which I don't think I am. I'm not. So make sure you go in the right direction first, that would be a good idea. And we're going to see if we can get this to sit on nicer. Not that this being broken is an issue, but it's not an issue. It doesn't really have any load sitting on it because of the nut that sits here to hold the pulley on. That's really what takes the load, but at some point I'd like to replace this little piece that I'm playing with. Alright, so I don't think that's going to go any further. Oh, it did. You can. I don't know if you guys should be able to see. It's gone a little bit further than what it was, and it's still got some movement, but not too bad. So I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want to push it too far and have everything go kaput. We're going to grab this little piece here, which is a very interesting little piece. And we're going to make sure we have our pulley on the right way. So this part out towards us, this part against the engine. So this little thing fits nicely right in the middle, just like that. And then when you put a nut on this pulley spins, but this part stays still. Now I don't know if you can actually see that spinning or not, but hopefully you can. So then we take this, pop it through here, like so, and then we're going to put our nut back on, which I almost lost, but it's right here. We're going to chuck this on, and we're going to do it up tight. Again, I'll probably have to tighten it once it's actually on. There we go. So now if I touch this, it spins on its own, and by the looks of it, it doesn't touch the inside of this, if you can just see at the right angle there. So this is probably how it was supposed to sit, but somebody sat it the wrong way and just had it dig in and chew away. Although, in saying that, reading, apparently from what I can read, this is a common part to go wrong, so... We're going to now put these back in the car, connect those two bolts up again, and I know you guys can't really see down here. Sorry, one camera angle, I'm doing the best I can here. Hell, I was just going to take this video and send it to a friend that wanted to learn about cars, but I might actually, you know, put this somewhere, who knows. But we're going to pop this back in, then we're going to give it a start, see if she screams at me. I'm probably going to put those covers back on that I took off. I could leave them off because they're not, you know, necessary, but I should ideally be leaving them off until I know everything's sorted, so I don't have to keep taking them on or off again, but I will forget if I don't put them on, and I lose the bolts. So we're going to put them back on, we're going to put this back in and put those back on. So we're going to sit this down here, we're going to grab one of our bolts, and we're going to start feeding this thing back together. Now I like to start with the bottom of the two bolts, because that top one, you can actually push it to move the idler to get it to line it up so you can actually put a bolt in. So I'm not going to put that in tight or anything, just finger. Don't take that out of context. And then, Jesus. So what we're going to do, make sure the belt's actually on, which it is from what I'm feeling. Then we're going to pull this to line it up with the next hole, hopefully. Now, of course, this is easier said than done. Like I'm trying to fight the tension of a fan belt here. Now, the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I don't want to take this fan belt off, because to get this one off, I need to take the alternator belt off. Which means I need to drop the tension on the alternator to then get the belt off, to then get that one off, to then put this on, to then put this one back on, to put that one. It makes the job longer, which I'm trying to avoid. And there's also not much room to work here when you've got an upper radiator hose and a thermal fan in the way and stuff. But just do your best. If this doesn't work, I will try switching the bolts and putting the top one in first and then the bottom. Yep, so that's what we're going to do. So I don't want to take too long. I don't know why I grabbed that, I needed it finger tight. I could even try pulling this back a bit to see if I can have some gap to line it up with. Oh. No. I apologize if my head's in the way, by the way. I can't exactly see up when I'm looking down. Okay, no, that's not working, so I probably shouldn't leave the bolt there because I'm going to lose it at some point, but we'll pop this one out, we'll put the top one in first. Before I cause too much of an issue, and now I'm struggling to even get it in. There we go. Alright, so top one, finger in. Now, try and line up this bottom one. Now I could be struggling more to get this on than I was getting it off because I did up that tensioner and moved where the pulley was originally sitting, so now it's pulling more on the belt. Now I only did that because this belt sits a little bit loose after, the AC belt sits a little bit loose after all the issues. So I could try popping the belt off just to get this on, then popping the belt back on, but I'm going to try it for a little bit longer, doing it like this. Which isn't working. I should have brought a torch as well, so I can actually see. Instead I'm just using these big giant photography lights that y'all can't see to try and light everything up. Now, I could get a screwdriver in there to help line it up, but I'd rather not. I'm going to loosen off the top one a little bit more and move the tension around just to see if I can line this bolt up, despite not being able to see because of how dark it is. Again, apologize if you can't see because of my fat head. Now, I think I may have gotten it, so I'm going to switch this real quick and see if I can use it to pull it in. Well, I can feel it getting tight now. It's just gone loose, maybe. Now obviously we don't want to break anything, so we're going to be careful. We're going to work with this bit by bit. Because at the moment I'm putting this bolt in a little bit sideways to help it, to hope that it pulls the pulley and the tensioner into the right spot. Alright, that top bolt's fully in. I'm going to try and get this bottom bolt in now, but I think... No, it feels like the bolt's not on properly, but it is by the feels of that. So we're going to try this bottom bolt again to get it in, which I don't think is working. So we're going to stop that, and we're going to back up, and we're going to assess it again. Now, I've been at this for a minute or two, not that you guys will know. Ow. Pay attention. And I've decided to remove the pulley to put this assembly, for lack of a better word, in. So I'm doing the second or the last bolt now. Then I'm going to attempt to put the pulley on. Now, if I can't get the pulley back on where I need it to be with that belt, all I can do is change the tension on that holder for it to move it up higher, to then put the pulley on, and then I can retension. Is the idea here. So, you don't really need to see me turning around and hurting myself, so I will come back when we get closer. Alrighty, so You guys don't know what has happened, but obviously you see an extension here, so I finally got this pulley on the assembly. I've had to tension the adjuster to move it up higher, so the pulley's up higher, so it's not pushing on the belt so much, so I could actually get it on. Now, what I'm doing is putting that nut on, because I finally got it sitting through everything the correct way. So now I've got this nut lightly on, because at the moment with where it is, this belt is very loose. So we're going to do up the 2 bolts that hold it in. Then we're going to readjust this pulley. And then we're going to go from there. So I'm going to put back on my 12mm. I'm going to get back to spinning and getting these 2 bolts in. Now, obviously, I couldn't show you because I was underneath the car, you couldn't see, but to actually line that pulley up into its holder properly, I couldn't do it from the top here. I just couldn't see well enough. I had to go from underneath, and I could see absolutely perfectly to work out what I needed to do. Mind you, it's dark under there. I don't have a torch, and I worked it out without a torch. And now, just by looking at it, it sits a lot better because there's a spacer between the timing cover and the pulley, so it'll stop rubbing against the timing cover, which is, what it's supposed to do. And there's also a gap between the tensioner and what I showed you from the start. So somebody definitely put that other pulley on wrong when they put my engine back together after doing the timing belt and a water pump. Because I've never touched that pulley. The only thing I've ever replaced are these fan belts. And the only thing I've ever had to adjust because of it was the alternator. I never adjusted the AC. Oops. I never touched it, never touched the pulley. Okay, so 1 bolt done. Doing that 2nd bolt now. People make mistakes. That happens all the time. I know for that workshop, there was one guy that was really good that I wanted to do the work, and he did. He ripped out the engine. He put the engine back in, but putting everything back together, he got obviously one of his less experienced people to do. So shit just happens. Not much you can do about it, Obviously, you had an issue, you could take it back to your mechanic and be like, hey, so on and so forth. And that's even assuming it was the mechanic's fault, because I had a little bit of a whine before that, but I just assumed it was the belts. So now that that's all back together, this, I don't know if you can see, but this belt is very, very loose, which is not what you don't want a loose belt. So we're going to tighten this tensioner, loosen off, tighten it, whatever you want to say. I find it slightly confusing because to bring the tensioner up, I need to have this on undo. To push the tensioner down, I need it undo up. So we're going to try this. We're going to have this push. I've only lightly done on the nut for the pulley, because if I did the pulley nut up tight, which I'm just double checking, yep. If I did the pulley nut on the pulley up tight, the pulley wouldn't move because it'd be stuck to this entire holder. But I need to freely be able to move up and down so I can re-tension this and get good tension on this fan belt. Now, I just want to double check that this is actually moving in the right direction by feeling the bottom of it, which I'm slowly feeling the thread of the screw disappear, so it is actually tightening, and this belt is getting tighter. I still probably want it a tiny bit tighter than that. Kind of like that, not so much bounce, got a nice bit of twist to it. Probably has too much twist, but because that part on that adjuster is broken, I don't really want to push it too far. So I might do a couple more spins. 1 and 2. Just make sure that's nice and tensioned. And then we're going to do up that nut on the pulley. Remember that part, because if you don't, your pulley is going to rattle back and forth and then eventually bust everything else anyway. Untie. I could tighten up with my fingers first, then use the ratchet. Lovely. It should be nice and tight. I don't feel it moving. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I can feel, I can fit my nail in between the pulley and the timing cover. Now obviously I can only do that on the top of about 3/4 because on the bottom half of it has a belt that runs around it and I can't get my fingers up there. I do have a feeler gauge, which I can go grab. and test it out. I don't know why I put that away. I still need this, and I still need a 10mm to put the covers back on. So I'm going to go grab a feel gauge real quick and see if I can feel a gap at the bottom, because the bottom is where it's rubbing, and then I'm going to go from there. Alrighty, so as far as I'm aware, everything feels all good, so we're going to go ahead and put these back on. Now, like I said earlier about these two little spaces, you want them side to side of our big boy here. Put that on. Put in the bolt on the left first, because if you put one in the middle here, it doesn't first, it pulls this whole cover over and doesn't reach this bolt hole over here. So put that in first, do it up. Oh, don't do that. Actually make sure your sockets stay on said bolts. Now, you don't want to put this bolt in yet either, because this one connects into that one, so we're just going to do it that one. Which is the alternator one, which means we need to swap to a 12mm. We're going to do it the alternator pulley. Not the alternator pulley, the alternator bolt. If you're touching your alternator pulley, which is underneath this cover now, there's a problem. Alright, 10mm back on. Cover here. We're going to put in this right hand bolt in first. Again, should probably wait till I test this before I put this all back together, but I don't want to turn the car on, see that it's all working, then have to turn it off to put this on, because I don't want to kill myself on belts. You know? Just to turn it back on again to take it for a test drive. And yes, this does normally end up in me doing more work, but what can you do? Now, so far what's been a 26-minute video for you has been about 35 minutes for me, because I fucked around for about 10 minutes with that pulley. So I'm going to put those back there. I'm going to make everything out of the engine bay, so the old pulley as well, and this nice beautiful socket set I have. I'm going to go start the car. You guys are going to stay here and you're going to watch. And if the car squeals, you're going to yell at me and tell me to turn it off. Oh, I hate this car. Well, that's not what we want. So, take two. Now, I've loosened the nut that holds the pulley on a little bit more, and I'm going to spray it with some belt dressing stuff. If I can get it in here. Just so you know, it's a new part, just to help live it up a little bit. I'm going to remember that I'm a photographer by trade and actually have lights in my garage. So, we're going to have a look. And it's possible it might still be whining against the timing cover, which is not ideal. Pulling the pulley up higher would probably fix that, but my belt is too stretched to do that, I think. I'm gonna move it up just a little bit, which means I gotta pop this off, and see if that helps, and then we're gonna take two. Alright, so now we're gonna go try this one more time, keeping the covers off. I've loosened the tensioner so the pulley should be up higher, and I've changed the tensioner on that nut slightly. Looked around at everything again, and I cannot see it rubbing against anything. So if it still squeals, I'm kind of at an impasse, and I'm probably going to stop the video, put the old one back on, just to put the old one back on the correct way, and then re-go from there again. So once again, it's still screaming at me. I'm at an impasse. I either just remove the belt and the tensionator altogether and have no aircon, or work out what the fuck's going on.